Drake just said that his new album For All the Dogs will be a classic. Let's take a look at whether from this current position before the album is dropping is actually something that we can realistically expect. So let's jump straight into this. If you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe and become part of this community. Oh, and also go cop that fresh merch and listen to my new songs in the description. Now that Drake has pushed his new album For All the Dogs back by 2 weeks from September 22nd, so originally in 3 days this week, then he pushed it back. That was the last video I made on this because of the reasons that I went over in the videos before that I never really understood about this album on September 22nd having been dropped during his It's All a Blur tour, and a couple of people, majority of people, not being able to hear this live, while only the people that go to the concerts after that date would be able to hear it live. And also he said that he's not done with the album yet and he would have to sacrifice shows or cancel shows to finish it. So now that it's pushed back to October 6th, we have a couple of more days, of more weeks to talk about this, to even get more info on this, get more rollout info like the track list, like features that are confirmed. So make sure to stay subscribed to not miss out on that. But as I said, in a recent clip from a show, Drake said himself that he would have another classic on the way, and I wanted to actually take a look at if this is something that we can realistically expect, and if Drake even has classics so far, because he was talking about another. Let's start by talking about this redemption arc that a lot of people are referencing when they're talking about this new album. They are saying that this new album, me myself included, I've said this a couple of times, would be kind of a comeback, a redemption, a return to form is what I see a lot of people use as the words for this, for Drake, to the old him that people love, like the Take Care, the Nothing Was the Same Drake that people fell in love with back in the early 2010s. People are mainly saying this because the last 3 projects to them have not been that good, starting out with CLB that a lot of people didn't like, me myself included. A big reason for that was maybe somewhat of a laziness surrounding that project, and uncertainty surrounding the project. Never got a solid release date. Then it dropped only a couple of days after Donda, and Kanye and Tim had their whole, beef still going on around that time. Then we also had that album cover with just the 9 pregnant emojis, and a lot of people saw that as not putting in a lot of effort, as Drake being kind of disrespectful to the fan and being like, yo, I can just drop anything and y'all will buy it. And to me, that did kind of seem like that. Looking back to it now, the material on CLB is actually pretty good. A lot of great songs on there, some skips as well, but the whole surrounding, the whole packaging and marketing for the album just seemed like, spitting in the listener's face and being like, let me just drop this and it will go #1 anyway because I'm Drake. So after that, I was very, very worried for Drake, because we talked about a split road of him either pursuing a more serious route by dropping a great new album, or going down that I'll just drop whatever and not really care about how it will last in time. The next project was Honestly Nevermind, and Honestly Nevermind was obviously a departure from what we thought it was going to be. It was him more singing, a different instrumentals used on there that we weren't used to. People generally didn't like it as much. It was received mixed. It was received kind of like him trying something new but not executing that very well. So Honestly Nevermind was also not the best album. And then Her Loss, which is the latest one, was a return to form if it comes down to just, him rapping and him proving that he can rap after he didn't rap on Honestly Nevermind, aside from the last track, Jimmy Cooks, that was kind of a, transitioning into Her Loss with 21 Savage, but that wasn't a Drake solo album, and that is what I always want to stress. That was a collaboration album between him and 21 Savage. Also, that surrounding the whole cover art seemed a bit lazy again, and Drake's cover arts haven't been the best over the past 2 to 3 projects, and that's also a point that a lot of y'all point out in the comments under every video I drop on Drake. So is this a redemption for Drake, and does this have to be a classic to be a redemption? I'm not sure. Let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all consider, if you're reading this, it's too late, a classic? Let me know your answer to the question in the comments down below, because what's interesting about this is that was kind of his comeback in 2015 after a lot of people accused him of being very soft. Like after Take Care and Nothing Was the Same, Drake had this, reputation as the nice guy, is always singing, as being overly emotional. We all know the memes, obviously. And then he dropped If You're Reading This Is Too Late, and it was kind of like, okay, let me go into this with legend, with energy, with all the other tracks that come on that tape. And he was like, let me show y'all that I can actually rap. I am to be taken serious. And that shut up all the haters. That was a great move back in 2015. As I said, over the past couple of projects, he's kind of departed into being that, singing type again. As I said, Her Loss was pretty good, but it's not a solo project. So let me know if y'all consider, if you're reading this too late, a classic, and if that is the case, then maybe this new one will be a classic to you too. Let's talk about the singles for this project so far, because those are the only things that we can truly base our expectations off of. Obviously, we've gotten the cover art, which is drawn by his son Adonis, which at first I didn't really like. It's kind of growing on me, but again, people are clowning a cover art by Drake. It's what it is. It's kind of his relationship with the cover arts now. I don't want to get too much into that, but let's talk about the singles. We had Search and Rescue drop in April. To me, that still sounds like an AI generated song. To me, he didn't put a lot of effort into that. I hope it doesn't make the cut for the album. A lot of y'all like it, I know, and I'm happy that y'all like it, but I just don't. And I just hope that it's not on the album, because I don't want that to occupy one of the spaces on the track list. The other song that we got is Slime You Out with SZA that dropped only last Friday. That song is pretty good. A lot of people talking about Take Care Drake, that Drake returning, that form of Drake returning. I don't quite see it that drastic. I think it's still kind of a mix between the CLB Drake and the Take Care Drake, but at least he's given us some more quality material now. And I like the song. I hope that a lot of the songs on this new album are like that. SZA obviously killed it again. From the features as well, it's looking pretty good. We have SZA, we have Bad Bunny, we have Yeat, we have Nicki Minaj confirmed on there, J. Cole maybe, so it's looking pretty good. And I think Slime You Out gave a lot of people hope that we're looking for exactly that vibe. So judging from that, let's say that at least it has the potential to be a classic. The singles so far, if we don't consider Search and Rescue, just Slime You Out, are pretty good. And I like that he didn't give us the hype song that is gonna go crazy first, but rather the song that is a little longer. It's over 5 minutes in length, but it's kind of a lot of lyrics on there, a lot of stuff we can dissect. Obviously the verse about the months, which is gonna go crazy, but it's at least something creative, so I like it. And obviously we gotta take into account that it takes a long time for an album to be appreciated as a classic after it comes out. Y'all, we didn't talk about Take Care being a classic in 2011. We only talked about it like 5, 6, 7 years later up to now. We didn't talk about Nothing Was the Same being a classic back in 2013. And I don't think it's justified to do that. I know the term classic is being thrown around a lot, and it's something that we got to kind of dial down a little bit. Also me, myself included, I got to work on that. I say GOAT and classic a lot, but obviously those two things can't be said a lot, because that would completely go against their own meaning. But it takes a long time, so we can't really say that this new album is going to be a classic. Drake himself is calling it that. Obviously, that's only marketing and promotional purposes, but it takes a long time. I wanted to put that out there before anybody goes out of their way on the day of release to call this a classic, call this not a classic, whatever. It takes some time. Give it a couple of years. Now, Drake said that he would have another classic on the way. Does he have a classic already? I think a lot of people consider Take Care as a classic, and just in terms of Drake's career and the path he's taken, I think that could be true. I think that Take Care marks a point in time in his career where he completely launched into that other level of stardom, and I think it is a perfect benchmark for what we want from Drake in terms of the mix between rapping and singing and what vibes we want from the tracks. But I don't know if I would consider it a classic. I would rather say that Nothing Was the Same would be his classic, because that had more of a mix that was a little bit more modern in its touch and its production. I like Nothing Was the Same honestly more than Take Care. That is not to be taken away from the impact of Take Care, but I also think after that, I wouldn't say, if you're reading this as a classic, I wouldn't say Views is a classic. I wouldn't say that More Life is a classic. Nothing that has dropped since then I would consider a classic, even though it's been a couple of years, that we've gotten those projects. And I don't think that CLB will be a classic, mainly because of the reason that it has that stupid cover art. And I think that is very important, and something that I want to stress, that if you want your album to be a classic, you have to make the whole package around it so good. And if you take a look at classic albums in hip hop, a lot of times you're like, yo, that cover art was crazy. Y'all remember that cover art from that? He did that on that cover art. That's not to be said about CLB, and I also don't think that is to be said about that drawing of the dog by his son on For All the Dogs. That's just me though. So I have doubts that this will be a classic. I get that Drake saying that is just promotional and marketing purposes, but we gotta sometimes hold them by their words and then take a look and discuss, like I did in this video, and dive down into this, if that is actually the case and if we can actually accept that. So let me know what y'all think about this though. Do you agree with me that it takes some time to appreciate an album as a classic and that we have to give this album some time? But right now, I don't know. I don't quite see it. I have that gut feeling of no. But let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. If you watched this video to the end and liked it, and you want to stay up to date with all current hip-hop events and releases, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that like button, and go follow my social media, and most importantly, join my Discord in the description. Until the next one, you'll have an incredible day, and y'all take care.